Hello, credit union community. My name is Randy Smith. I am one of the co-founders and the publisher of CUInsight.com, and we could not be more excited to bring you the first episode of our podcast, the CUInsight Experience. The goal of the podcast is to have wide-ranging discussions with thought leaders from around the credit union community, the people we get to work with on a daily basis, folks we've met over the years at credit union conferences, to really pick their brain and see if we can't find some nuggets that we can share with you. On this first episode, we were lucky enough and we are grateful to have Mr. Jim Nussle, the president and CEO of CUNA. He was willing to be our guinea pig over his holiday season, which we are so thankful for. And you will see in the discussion that we talk about everything in the beginning, from CUNA's advocacy efforts, the big wins from 2018, the hopes for 2019, what CUNA does for credit unions on a daily basis. We then move into GAC. Jim was extremely excited about the lineup, what the credit union community can expect from this year's GAC, and his hopes on what we'll all take home and back to our credit unions after the event is over. From there, if you're listening to the podcast, the second part of it, but if there's the videos, there's a second video with a link below. We talk about leadership and life hacks. I think you'll really enjoy when I asked Jim about how, when he kind of butts up against a challenge, like, does he kind of bring himself back together or think about things a little bit differently. It was a cool part of the conversation, and many more. It's the reason we had to go to 3 videos below, was because the conversation was pretty awesome. So, and then in the final section, which will be a staple in every one of our podcasts, we ask rapid fire questions. We have had a blast putting these together. And kind of putting the guest on the spot where we get to know them a little bit better. So the questions are rapid. The answers don't have to be, but that's a lot of fun. So make sure you listen all the way through, or make sure you click on the third part down below. Without further ado, though, I will not take up any more of your time. Let's just get to the good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jim Nussle.
When you, I guess, look at what CUNA is doing, we think of advocacy a lot around GAC, and it seems like around elections and when you guys have big wins. But what could you tell? I guess share with credit union community what CUNA does and your team does on a day-to-day basis throughout the course of the year for credit unions.
Yeah, I mean, so from my standpoint, where I sit and what I try and both instill in my team and what I know they instill in me, is that we want to be every single day the champions for credit unions in so many different ways, whether that's maybe it's in the halls of Congress, maybe it's at the NCUA, maybe it's in a media interview, maybe it's out in the states at a state capitol in a tax fight, or in the marketplace as we try and face consumers and encourage them to open their eyes to credit unions. That's what we want to do, is we want to every day, every way, be the champion for credit unions and the challenges they are facing today and in the future, and the opportunities that they have as well to serve a whole new generation of Americans.
That's true. Do you have any, I guess, favorite wins, big wins this year? I know there's been quite a few.
I would say, so this is the interesting thing, and in fact, I just had the opportunity to say this to my board. If you were looking at an association down the street and that association could report to you that in 1 year, in fact, how about 3 years? In 3 years, that they protected existential tax status at the national level, number one, that we did battle together with our league partners in Iowa in this instance to protect the tax status at the state level. And we also got regulatory relief in a bipartisan way through a completely dysfunctional Congress and political environment in Washington. That would be enough for an association to have as part of their plan for 3 or 5 years. The fact that we as a system, CUNA, leagues, credit unions, professionals, all working together, system partners as well, CUNA Mutual has been instrumental in this partnership, that we were able to do that in just 1 year is phenomenal. And that's not even all we did. I mean, you take on some of the fights we did in the courts over data breaches and over protecting the expanse of the membership, the field of membership. So we were doing so many other things, but just those three alone are kind of, for any association, enough to do in 3 years.
Yeah, that's, I mean, like I said, big wins, right?
Oh.
Not only in the past couple of years since you've been with CUNA, but like the past few years, but like even beforehand. You mentioned it a little bit earlier. How has Washington changed, I guess, since you first showed up there?
I think the media, social media, and the media in general, and that's not meant to blame the media. I think that's overblown and overplayed. But the difference today is that you can pick your channel. If you don't like the message on one channel, you can pick a channel that you agree with and not necessarily hear an opposite side or a different side or a different perspective. That's different and then it's all the time, 24/7. Yeah. And then you add in social, which can be very mean, very negative, I mean, extremely in some instances. You add that into the mix. It makes and I don't want to just blame the media, because the politicians have responsibility, as I did. I don't come into this with clean hands as though I never was partisan. That's not true. But we also, I think, knew that there was a moment in time, because I was the budget chairman in the House of Representatives, and then I was in the White House as budget director. There was no way to pass a budget, and I passed 6 of them. There was no way to pass one unless you were working with everybody. There was just no. That's probably the toughest thing to pass, and to even have any chance of doing that in the House of Representatives in particular, you pretty much had to work all sides of the equation.
Has there been a change over the past few years in credit unions that you've noticed?
I don't know if I'm certainly not the person that coined this phrase. I think actually Thomas Friedman may be the author of this phrase in his new book, Sorry for Being Late, but he called it the age of acceleration, meaning that everything is happening faster and faster, and the acceleration of change, of disruption, of innovation, of technology, of consumer demands, it's happening faster every single day. And every time you have a new entrant, the fact that I can shop from my smartphone for Christmas, as an example, and have it delivered within a day or 2 days to my front door, wrapped and ready to stick under the Christmas tree, makes it just as challenging when a member of a credit union walks into a branch or wants to interact with their credit union, maybe to get a small loan or something like that. Okay. Their demand is, well, gosh, I can click through with Amazon, or I can even talk to my Alexa, which is why I did that at the GAC. Introduced, hey, Alexa, what's a credit union? That's their expectation now. Well, if they can expect that from Amazon and they can expect it from anybody else, you're darn right it's going to change the expectation of a consumer or a member of a credit union when they walk into their financial services, and it's only accelerating. So that would be, to me, the biggest change I've seen. And I know that, so to me, credit unions are uniquely positioned because we know our member the very best. And we have the opportunity, because we know them, to meet them where they want us to meet them, to serve their needs. Yep. But some need to accelerate their change within their credit union to make sure that happens.
What can people expect this year at GAC?
Well, so first we have some cool keynote speakers. John Kerry is going to come and speak. Last year we had George W. Bush, and he was so engaging. What a fun experience that was for me. Even I mean, I worked for him, but it just was fun. And I hope we have a similar experience with John Kerry. I mean, so some people last year when George W. Bush, there were a few maybe Democrats who thought, I'm not sure I really want to see that, and they loved it. This year I've had a few Republicans say, well, I'm not sure about, trust me, you're going to love this. These people, they're human beings. They have some great experience. They're real people. They want to share those experiences with us, and I think you'll be both entertained, but also, I think, enlightened by that. And then Malcolm Gladwell. We've got a bunch of great folks who can give us some perspective about the challenges that lay ahead in advocacy but also in other areas. And we're going to have more great news about the rollout of the new awareness effort of Open Your Eyes. We want to open as many eyes next year, hundreds of millions of people to open their eyes to credit unions that have maybe opened their eyes before, but didn't consider us. We want them to consider credit unions in the future so we can expand our market.
If you had to pick one thing this year for that you hope the credit union community goes home with, what is it?
Well, I know they're going to go home with advocacy. I know that's kind of almost table stakes. And so telling our story about the credit union difference becomes kind of the table stakes. The other one that I hope they go with as kind of the extra credit, the cherry on top, is opening America's eyes to credit unions. We have a great new effort, brand platform, and first rollout campaign. It's gaining a lot of good momentum throughout the states and with credit unions contributing to this effort. It's going to be digital, so it's not just broadcast on television going wherever it goes. It's actually surgically placed digitally at the consumer's beck and call when they're in the moment of making decisions about a car loan, joining a credit union, making a deposit, deciding they want a mortgage, things like that. So we've got a really cool operation, and I hope people will pay attention to that. So I would say those are two easy takeaways that I hope people leave the conference with.
That's awesome. Great way to wrap it up. Thank you again, Jim. I greatly appreciate it. And we will see you in DC at GAC.
Sounds good. Thanks, Randy.